Imagine this. Close friend, a loved one, or perhaps a colleague. They always manage to dampen your mood like rain on a summer day. A cloud of negativity follows them everywhere, and somehow you find yourself feeling drained in their company more often than not. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something feels off, very off. Now, you might ask, is this person toxic? But how do you know? And that's exactly what we are going to delve into today. The 5 Stoic signs that someone is toxic. These are the silent red flags waving at us from a distance, often overlooked or misread as mere quirks of personality. As we explore these signs together, remember this isn't about judging others or labeling them. It's about understanding patterns that could be harmful to our own mental and emotional health. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy adopted by the likes of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, teaches us perception is reality. It gives us tools to separate what we can control from what we cannot, helping us navigate life with grace and resilience. But before we venture deep into Stoic wisdom, I want you to think about the people who consistently make your heart feel heavy, or leave your mind swirling with confusion. Are they always playing the victim card? Do they have an uncanny knack for twisting situations in their favor? Is every conversation with them wrapped around their life and problems? Keep those faces in mind as we journey through this enlightening exploration. Because by the end of our discussion today, not only will you have a clearer understanding of toxicity in human behavior, but also gain powerful insights on how to protect yourself from it. Remember, awareness is power, so come along now. Let's awaken together. Let's dive right in, shall we? Picture this. You're at a social gathering, and someone walks up to you. Their smile is charming, but there's something about their energy that feels off. You can't put your finger on it right away, but as the conversation progresses, you find yourself feeling drained instead of uplifted. This could be your first brush with a toxic person. Toxicity isn't always evident at first glance. It often cloaks itself behind charisma and allure. But if you pay attention to these 5 Stoic signs I'm about to share with you, they'll serve as an early warning system to help identify potential toxicity before it takes root. The first sign is constant negativity. Now, everyone has bad days. That's perfectly normal. But do you know someone who seems perpetually stuck in a cloud of pessimism? They exude an almost tangible aura of gloom and doom, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, but without his endearing charm when every discussion feels like wading through a quagmire of despair. That's not just draining. It's toxic. Next up is chronic criticism. Constructive criticism helps us grow. However, toxic people weaponize words into tools of humiliation and control, under the guise of just being honest. Take Anna, for instance. She believed her colleague Mark was helping her improve by constantly pointing out her mistakes until she realized he never had anything positive or encouraging to say. Another telltale sign is lack of empathy. The ancient Stoics emphasized compassion and understanding towards others' experiences and emotions. A person devoid of empathy mirrors the opposite. They fail to show genuine concern for others' feelings or disregard them altogether. The fourth sign shines light on manipulative behavior masked as caring concern. Like David, who was always willing to lend an ear when his friend Lisa was upset, only later she discovered had been using her confidences as gossip fodder. Finally, we have the blame game. Toxic people rarely take responsibility for their faults and actions. They are masters of deflection, always shifting blame onto others. Like a perpetual game of hot potato, they ensure they're never left holding responsibility. In life, we often encounter such individuals who bring more distress than joy into our lives. Recognizing these signs early can help safeguard your mental and emotional well-being from their toxic influence. Remember, knowledge is not just power. It allows you to create boundaries that protect your peace and happiness. You might be wondering, how can I identify a toxic person? The answer lies in the teachings of Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy. Let's dive deeper into this. The third sign to watch out for is manipulation. A toxic individual often exerts control by manipulating others. They are adept at making you question your own perceptions and even sanity, a tactic known as gaslighting. Picture this. You're in a conversation with someone who consistently twists your words, making you doubt your memory or understanding of events. Suddenly, You find yourself apologizing when you're not at fault. That's manipulation. A classic trait of toxicity. Fourthly, pay attention to those who fail to respect boundaries. Another key sign of toxicity. We all have our personal space and limits which need to be respected, right? But imagine someone constantly pressuring you into activities or conversations that make you uncomfortable, despite stating clearly it's not what you want. Your discomfort is overlooked because their needs come first. Always this blatant disregard for personal boundaries is typical behavior for toxic individuals. Finally, the fifth sign. Constant negativity. Picture having coffee with a friend who only ever talks about how everything goes wrong for them while blaming everyone else. Never taking responsibility themselves, their life seems like an endless saga of complaints without any attempts to improve their situation or learn from mistakes. It feels draining just listening to such constant negativity, doesn't it? Now that we've identified these signs, let's talk about how Stoic principles help handle such toxicity effectively. The first principle advises us to accept what we cannot change. You need to understand that changing someone else's attitude isn't within your power. But controlling how you react certainly is. If someone continually brings negativity into your life, despite numerous conversations addressing their behavior, it might be time to step back and minimize contact. Next comes the principle of practicing self-restraint. As Stoics, we are encouraged to remain calm and composed, even when faced with provocation. This becomes especially crucial when dealing with manipulative individuals who thrive on emotional reactions. Lastly, the Stoic principle of living according to nature prompts us to align our actions with reason and virtue. When someone repeatedly invades your personal space or disregards your boundaries, it's essential to stand up for yourself. Not aggressively, but assertively. In conclusion, understanding these signs of toxicity and applying Stoic principles can be a game changer in how you navigate relationships. Remember, you don't need permission to protect your peace and happiness now. Let's delve into the third Stoic sign of a toxic person. They're constantly playing the victim. The Stoics believe that we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by our interpretation of those events. And some people have mastered the art of always interpreting events in a way that portrays them as victims. Imagine this situation. You're having coffee with your friend Alex. He starts talking about his recent breakup and how it was all his partner's fault. According to Alex, he did everything right and was entirely blameless in their relationship's downfall. But you know better. You've seen him neglecting his partner, failing to communicate effectively, and even lying on several occasions. Despite these facts glaringly standing out in front of him, he still clings onto his role as the perpetual victim. This is a gigantic red flag. It shows an unwillingness to take responsibility for one's actions, a trait common among toxic individuals. The Stoics emphasize taking ownership and learning from our missteps rather than passing off blame. Next up is the fourth sign. They try to control you or manipulate your feelings. Here's another scenario for clarity. Meet Bella, your office colleague who often criticizes your work unnecessarily while subtly hinting that she could do it better herself. She might also guilt-trip you into doing tasks for her because she's too stressed or overwhelmed. What Bella is doing here is trying to gain control over you through manipulation. Another classic tactic adopted by toxic individuals. Remember what Epictetus said. He advised us never to allow someone else's actions disturb our tranquility. We should focus on what's within our control and let go of what isn't. The final Stoic warning signal indicating toxicity is if someone spreads negativity like wildfire. Their glass isn't just half empty. It shattered on the floor long ago. Think about Dylan, an old high school buddy you catch up with from time to time. Every conversation is a downer as he continuously whines and complains, bringing a cloud of pessimism wherever he goes. The Stoics valued tranquility and peace of mind above all else. Constant negativity disrupts that calm state, making it near impossible to maintain. If Dylan's outlook on life starts affecting your own peace of mind, it's time for some serious introspection about the value this relationship brings into your life. In conclusion, always remember, you are the guardian of your inner peace. Don't let anyone compromise that. Recognize these signs early on, and protect yourself from toxic influences. Now, let's delve into the fourth sign: constant negativity. Picture this: you meet an old friend for coffee. From the moment you sit down, they launch into a tirade about everything wrong in their life, from their job to their partner to their health. They lace every conversation with complaints and criticisms, leaving no room for positivity or gratitude. This is a classic manifestation of toxicity within someone. Stoicism teaches us that we should not be swayed by external factors, but rather cultivate inner tranquility. However, repeatedly being subjected to such negative energy can take a toll on your own mindset and disrupt that tranquility. Remember Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." This highlights the importance of perception over reality in our lives. A toxic person often sees only the negative side of things and spreads this viewpoint like contagion. It is crucial for you to recognize this early on because it can subtly seep into your own thinking pattern too. You may begin seeing problems where there aren't any or become overly critical yourself, both contrary to the principles of Stoicism. Let me share an example. Imagine having a colleague who constantly complains about your boss being demanding or unfair, despite them treating everyone equally and setting reasonable expectations. Spending time around this colleague might gradually lead you to adopt similar resentments which were non-existent before. But here's how you can protect yourself according to Stoic wisdom. First and foremost, maintain mental distance from their negativity, while keeping physical interactions civil and necessary. Don't let their pessimistic worldview affect yours. This is where practicing indifference towards external influences becomes key in Stoicism. Secondly, try subtly introducing positivity into conversations without coming across as dismissive or insensitive towards their feelings. And remember, it's okay if they don't reciprocate immediately or ever. Your aim here isn't changing them, but preserving your internal peace. Finally, set boundaries. Make it clear when their negativity is affecting you and limit exposure if necessary. This doesn't mean you're abandoning them. Instead, you're taking care of your mental health, which in turn enables you to be a better friend or colleague. So, stay vigilant for the fourth sign: constant negativity. Remember, Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about not letting emotions control us. Avoid letting others' toxic negativity rob your tranquility and peace. And now, we've arrived at the fifth and final sign of a toxic person through the lens of Stoicism. They drain your energy. You know who I'm talking about. It's that person who leaves you feeling emotionally exhausted after each interaction, as if they sucked out all your vitality and left an empty shell behind. Picture this scenario. You're at a social gathering, having a great time when this individual enters the room. Suddenly, it feels like someone turned down the volume on your joy. Amidst laughter and chatter, you find yourself inexplicably tired and deflated. This is not just coincidence or a one-time occurrence. It happens every single time with them around. Now let's consider another case. An office colleague who constantly asserts their superiority by belittling others in front of management or monopolizes team meetings with their endless negativity. Their presence seems to cast a shadow over what should be productive, positive spaces. In both scenarios, these individuals are toxic because they sap our emotional energy, something essential for us to function healthily in life. So how does Stoicism help us deal with such draining people? Well, Stoics believe that our energy, mental or physical, is one of our most precious resources. It's something we should guard zealously because once spent, it cannot be easily replenished. Stoics advise us to surround ourselves with people who give off positive vibes, rather than those who drain our spirits dry. They encourage us to create boundaries against negativity while still treating everyone, including those deemed toxic, with kindness and respect from afar. This doesn't mean turning into heartless robots, but exercising control over where we invest our emotional capital wisely. Remember Epictetus' words: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And Marcus Aurelius' insight: you have power over your mind, not outside events. So next time you encounter a person who seems to drain your energy, take a step back. Don't let their negativity seep into you. Maintain your tranquility and peace by choosing your response instead of reacting impulsively. Stoicism teaches us that we have the power to protect ourselves from toxic people by managing our reactions and preserving our energy for those truly worth it. By recognizing these 5 signs we've discussed, you're well on your way to protecting yourself effectively against emotional vampires in your life. Remember, your peace of mind is paramount. Don't let anyone steal it away. Let's dive right in. Picture this. You're having lunch with a friend who constantly complains about others, always pointing out their flaws, never missing an opportunity to criticize. This is a classic sign of toxicity. Stoics understood the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive influences. Remember Epictetus? He once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." So how does that relate to our complaining friend? Well, it's simple yet profound. Negative energy spreads like wildfire. If you've ever spent time around someone who constantly criticizes others, you'll know it can leave you feeling drained and unhappy. That's because negativity breeds more negativity. It saps your energy and pulls your focus away from what truly matters. Living a life based on virtue and kindness. Consider another case. A colleague at work who seems perpetually embroiled in drama. Everything is always an issue, big or small, and they continually rope others into their chaos. This type of person thrives on conflict and disorder because it gives them a sense of importance or control. Marcus Aurelius himself warned us against such individuals when he wrote in his Meditations, "Stay away from people who belittle your ambitions." Why? Because these toxic individuals will drain your energy and divert your attention from pursuing your goals. Now let's talk solutions. How do we protect ourselves from these emotional vampires? Start by setting clear boundaries. If someone continually dumps their problems onto you without considering how it affects your well-being, tell them clearly but kindly that while you want to be supportive, there has to be balance in the relationship too. Remember Seneca's advice. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Spend more time with those who lift you up rather than tear others down. Surround yourself with those who inspire positivity and growth instead of breeding negativity and stagnation. And finally, practice detachment. Understand that you can't control other people's behavior or attitudes, but you can control how you respond to them. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Focus on what's in your power and let go of the rest. In a nutshell, recognize these signs of toxicity early on and take proactive steps to protect your peace of mind. Be careful about who you surround yourself with because their energy, positive or negative, will inevitably influence yours. It all comes down to this. Your life is precious, and so is every moment you spend in it. Imagine it as a beautiful canvas where each brushstroke adds depth, color, and meaning. Now ask yourself, what kind of painting are you creating? If toxic people are dictating the colors on your palette, ultimately, they're shaping the masterpiece that is your life. And I'm sure you'll agree, that isn't how it should be. Recognizing the toxic signs we've discussed, consistent negativity, chronic stress inducement, constant judgment and criticism, lack of responsibility for their actions and energy-draining tendencies, empowers you to take control of who gets to influence your life's work. Remember this, Stoicism isn't about becoming an emotionless statue. It's about understanding emotions better to make wiser decisions. When you decide not just to survive but thrive amidst toxicity, remember that detachment doesn't equate with indifference or insensitivity. It's simply choosing serenity over chaos, clarity over confusion. You're opting for self-preservation over self-sacrifice, because only when we protect ourselves can we truly care for others deeply. You have the power to say no when respect vanishes and boundaries blur. Remember that no relationship, be it personal or professional, is worth jeopardizing your peace of mind for. Apply these Stoic principles in everyday interactions. They are not merely survival tools against toxicity, but frameworks for building healthier relationships overall. Finally, let me leave you with this thought. Your world should resonate with positivity and inspire growth, not foster negativity or hinder progress. Don't let toxic individuals dim the bright light within you. Instead, use their shadows as stepping stones towards greater heights. The heights where only kindness reigns and happiness blooms freely, live boldly yet wisely. Painting